Welcome to the Regen Ag SA podcast. Today, we're going to be interviewing our next regenerator, and that is Wyk Pretorius from Favour Farm outside of George in the Western Cape. Good morning, Wyk, and welcome to the Regen Ag SA podcast.
Morning, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
It's good to see you again. I think we first met in a similar meeting on a webinar during lockdown
Yeah.
some 4 years ago now. When we had lots of time to sit around and talk about regenerative agriculture because we were locked up.
Yes, that's actually when we started. I think it was we started the farm, and I think we were busy for like 3 months, and then we had that webinar. So on my side, it was quite busy still.
Yeah, well, there was the one aspect that carried on, farm life.
Yes.
Yeah, in some ways, we were very privileged to carry on having some space when other people were confined to barracks. Yeah, where to start? Tell us how you ended up on Favour Farm, and the story of yourself and also of Favour Farm, how it all began.
Me and my wife, basically, it all started with food, like agriculture is, but we started just asking questions about where our food comes from, how it is produced, and we saw the big dilemma in agriculture. So that's when I wanted to just start our own vegetable garden. We basically wanted to homestead as a start, but we were living in Stellenbosch in an apartment with concrete all around us, so we didn't really have any opportunity to farm or to produce our own food. And then this passion of mine just started growing. I started watching a lot of regenerative agriculture videos, started reading books, and it totally consumed me. It was all I could think about, and I knew this was what I needed to do with my life. So when I knew that, we started looking for land. I don't come from a farming background at all. I studied engineering. My wife's an accountant, so we had desk jobs in the city. We didn't have any access to land at that moment, so the search began, and then we found this land in the garden route. I pitched the idea to my father. He was always interested in the idea of living on a farm. Not so much the farming aspect of it, but living in a rural setting with with nice views and having just having a relaxed life. So that also interested him, and we decided to buy the farm together. So he's a big part of the reason that we were able to get access to the land. Yeah, so we started about a year before we started the farm. I was doing a lot of research, reading all the books I can, watching all the videos, because, like I said, I didn't have any background in agriculture, which I think was a very big advantage for me at the beginning. I could focus on all the new best methods without having any blockage of what was tradition in my family of how things were done. So I was very open-minded going into this project. So I think I got connected with the right people. Yeah, so I did a lot of research, and we tried to get this farm up and running as quickly as possible. So we started with a market garden. We even before the transfer was completed, we started laying down plastic tops to kill off existing vegetation to start on no-dig beds, because we needed to get an income from this farm as quickly as possible to pay the bills. Yeah, so at the moment we have the no-dig market garden. We run pastured poultry. We have egg layers. We do pastured broiler chickens. We have cattle and sheep, and we also offer farm accommodation.
Okay, so you're doing it all. So yeah, that's a very interesting combination, the engineer and the accountant. I think it's good things that are often missing on farms, and good to bring those in. Now,
Yeah.
I've met a lot of people in the last 5, 6 years who've wanted to do what you've done. I've met many who've tried to do what you've done, but many have found it very, very difficult. Have gone down rabbit holes. Have have tried to do things. What do you think the secret of your family's success on your farm?
Yeah, I think like you said, it's great having an accountant on board. I think that's something that's often missed with farming. A lot of farmers are very passionate about the land and about the animals, but the reality is you have to be able to pay the bills. So I think having an accountant as a wife, uh, which from the start led us led our thinking towards economic sustainability as well, really contributed to the success of the farm. We also focused on marketing, and I have to tell you, I'm not a natural uh, marketing person. So it was one of the most difficult things for me is putting ourselves out there. Um, but at least there's technology. So technology really helped us in this aspect. Because I'm an engineer, I could set up an online store quickly. We knew the right people to help us with social media marketing. So I think that's probably the two most important things, uh, marketing and the financial aspect of a farm. Not overspending, uh, especially when starting up a farm.
Yeah, I mean, I always say that, if you're going to do a small farm like you're doing, there are five things, and you've got to do all five better than average.
Yeah.
So the first one's being a farmer, and we know that being a farmer has many, many attributes to it. But we're just going to call that one for now. The second one's being a business person. The third one is marketing, being a marketer, then a salesperson, and then finally a distributor. So if you think of most companies, those jobs are done by at least five different people.
Yes.
And to getting it right is to get all of those things right, because you don't displace the middleman, you replace them and become the middleman. So you got to be able to do all of those things.
Yeah, no, that's the reality. And I think at least we knew what we were getting ourselves into because we did proper planning. We knew that farming on a small scale is not really viable if you don't wear all of those hats. If you just think you're going to be a farmer on a small scale, uh, it will be very difficult to make ends meet. So prior to us starting the farm, we knew that we are going to have to be marketers and businessmen and all of those you mentioned.
No, it's great. And you were talking about, the accounts and keeping track of that. We'll talk more about Richard Perkins later, but I don't know if you've seen his book that he made, that remarkable book on all of his enterprises and how he made them. But literally, it's all recorded down to the last cent spent on every aspect of every separate enterprise in that business.
Yes.
And so keeping track on that and knowing, that the chickens are paying for themselves, the pigs aren't paying for the chickens, it
Mm.
is so important in a mixed farming enterprise.
Yes, definitely. And I think we can touch on that later again, but uh, that's really the biggest part, I think, of what prepared us was Richard Perkins' book. So I read that book from front to back, I think multiple times. So that really enabled us to be able to start all the enterprises. But like you said, it is important to also in in the storm be able to go through the data and see where are things not working, what should we focus on, what's doing well, and where should we put our time and energy. It's very easy to just see the bigger picture and get lost in the busy times, and you have an enterprise that's leaking, but you don't know about it. So it is
Yeah.
important to go back and have a look at what is actually going on in the books.
No, very important stuff. And so going back to your market garden, what sort of principles did you follow there? What angle did you take on that when you set out from that? Because there's so many different things that people can do, so many different composts people can make, different types of fertility and pest management, etc. What route did you decide to go down, or did you make your own?
Probably a little bit of my own, but like I said, it was initially based on Richard Perkins' no-dig model with woodchip pathways. So that's what we started off with, a deep compost mulching. So initially we bought in a lot of compost, more than we should have, but we did buy a lot of compost just to get everything mulched. So our principle, so we really focus on soil health rather than plant health. So we always keep the soil covered. We don't spray anything that kills anything, even if it's marked organic on the label. We try and not kill anything. So biodiversity is key. Yeah, we do everything as naturally as possible. We've started making our own compost.
Uh-huh.
But our market garden is on at the moment on about 7,000 square meters, which is quite a substantial size. So we're not able to produce everything ourselves yet. And the compost we get isn't always of the best quality. So what we do is we make small batches of very good compost, and then we make compost teas and extracts, and try and get the biology on the soil uh, through that, rather than the bulk of the organic matter put on the soil. Yeah, so that's how we try and manage the health of the life in the soil is through applications of compost teas and extracts, and then we just try and keep a good environment for the biology, making sure there's always moisture in the soil is always covered, and also minimally disturbed.
Okay, great. So what is your preferred method for making compost?
So we have two. So we make the 21-day Berkey compost for biology. So that's just making a one cube compost pile, and then we also have a worm compost operation, which is very small, but just also for biology, and we use some of the compost in our seedling mixes. But that's the two. We also third one is our chicken manure. So we've recently, it's been going for about a year, but we've recently started our broiler production. So we do have access to chicken manure and shavings mixture. So we basically just age that as well. We will probably in the future, once we have capacity, try and turn that into a better compost as well, making it mixing other ingredients in there to get it more diverse. But that adds a lot of fertility to the vegetable garden.
Yeah, a great source of fertility there. And then moving over onto your chickens, how are you running those operations?
Yeah, so our layers are, so we have 3 egg mobiles. Because we don't have, our land's not very big, we're on 23 hectares, and pastures are around 12 to 13 hectares of pasture. So it's egg mobiles with electronet around them, because chickens tend to go back to where they want to be if they're not confined a little bit. So we try and move them as often as possible to give them access to fresh forage always. So that's our priority, is to give them fresh forage for the air quality, but also for the fertility created on pasture. So we try and move them around 2 to 3 times a week, if possible. Sometimes, depending on the grass, just once or twice. But it does add a lot of labor, but we do that. And then our broilers are in. We started with Salatin style broiler tractors, but we've recently moved to our own design structure. It's a hoop structure that's a little bit higher, easier for catching chickens and working inside, and it's a little bit lighter than our Salatin tractors, so it works a little bit better, but it's more susceptible to wind. We've had a big windstorm with a little bit of damage, so we'll probably work on a third iteration of broiler tractors soon.
Yeah, you don't always get it right first time.
Yeah. But our broilers get moved every day, so they get fresh grass every day. And our broilers and layers, we feed a non-GMO feed, which is quite difficult to get, but so we get it from Paul.
Okay.
There's no local producers of non-GMO chicken feed in our area.
Yeah. No, great. And then finally onto your cattle.
Yeah. So like I said at the beginning, we neglected our cattle and sheep a little bit, but we've gone up to moving them every day now. We've been doing that for about 8 months to a year now. So we've always had different smaller paddocks, but they would stay there for maybe 4 days to a week. But we've tried to just improve over time, and now we are there where we move them every single day, which is great. We've seen just in the year that we've been grazing higher density, we've seen massive improvements on pasture.
It is amazing how when you go towards that once a day, the rate of change and the change that happens in front of your eyes in that pasture.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I can't believe we didn't do it sooner. It was difficult for me to allocate resources and time to something that takes a lot of time to get our investment back. So we started with a few calves, and then we kept the heifers, and we put a bull with them. So it was a long wait until we could sell beef. So it was very difficult for me to know I have to go move them every day.
Yeah.
But they don't give me an income at the moment.
Yeah.
But now since we've started getting something back, it's easier mentally to be able to spend more time and resources on them.
It's always good therapy to go move cows.
It is.
So now to the what I consider the most difficult part of farming, to profitably sell the produce you make. How do you go about that?
Yeah, so I do have to be honest. We have very good access to market because we are very close to a few towns. We basically in the middle of George and Mossel Bay, so we can provide a service in both towns, which is a great advantage. We're not very rural, and then so we struggled initially, but only for about 2 months to get our names out there, and with very limited products, it was difficult to sell at a high price because it sort of defeats the purpose of people just buying one thing from you. So I think one of the biggest advantages we have is having a diverse product range. So our customers can get a wide variety of food directly from us, which makes it easier for them. And then I have to say, things sell themselves. As soon as customers taste healthy vegetables or pasture-raised eggs, they come back. So once a market is established, there's not much that we have to do to keep the customers.
So do you physically go to markets, or do you have other distribution mechanisms?
Oh yes, so we go to the wild oats market on every Saturday, and then we also we have an online shop which people can just order directly from us, and then we deliver once a week to George and Mossel Bay. And then we also have a subscription veggie box where clients can choose if they want a veggie box delivered every week or every second week. And then lastly, we do supply a few small shops, shops focused on health predominantly in George.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Oh, well done.
So it also, I think one of the biggest benefits also is the diversity in product outlets as well. So we know that if for some reason one of these fail, we still have a few other things going for us. So I think it is a great way of mitigating risk as well.
Diversity is good everywhere.
Yes.
No, so amazing, and congratulations on pulling off what you pulled off. It's a remarkable story.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Yeah, we still I still feel I'm learning a lot, and we are still in the beginning stages of farming, but it has been a very good ride, and it's really a massive privilege to be able to be on land and to steward land, to work with animals, and really to see what the impact can be of taking care of the soil. We've seen lots of birds returning, like pasture species birds, like all the microbiology, like all the insects. It's really just a privilege to see what's happening when we take care of the soil.
Yeah, the wonderful results of good stewardship.
Yes.
And so many more benefits that are involved in that, ecosystem services that you don't even see, but that are crucial to all of us. And where you started off saying it was all about the food, and sadly, much of our food industry is not all about food,
Yes.
food and agriculture. So yeah. So now next year you have a very interesting course happening at your farm. We've mentioned Richard's name a few times thus far. But why don't you tell us about the course and about what's happening and what people can expect?
Yes. Yeah, so we are very excited. It'll be great to have Richard Perkins here, because he was one of the biggest inspirations for me to start off, especially with the way he handles the data. Like you said, he knows up to the last point what's going on in every enterprise he has. So I think it's really good for anyone starting, or for anyone that wants to take their farm to the next level, to join us for the course. The course will be in January, the 17th to 27th of January. So he's coming, and he's bringing one of his good friends, Gerado Ruis, with him. Gerado is a drylands expert, so they will be here. The course, it's a 9-10 day course with camping accommodation and all food included. Because the cost of the course is 18,500 rand. Yeah, I think it'll just be a wonderful opportunity to connect with them, to learn from one of the best in the industries, especially with small farms. We've spoken to them. They are going to try and make it, what's the word? So try and focus on local context as well. A lot of people are worried that they only know what's going on in Sweden and in Mexico, but we are going to try and focus on local context. I have a little bit of experience with local context, so I will lend a hand where I can as well. Yeah, so I just think it's just an opportunity that shouldn't be missed. Of
Uh,
having these kids here.
well, I think it'll be a remarkable opportunity, and it's not just them. And they're two very different contexts. One where their farm spends half the year under snow, and the other one who lives in the deserts in Mexico. So they got pretty broad context there, but also I think there's going to be a pretty amazing audience, and different experiences from South Africans um, getting involved. Sorry, the dog's coming into the mix here. And yeah, so no, it really sounds like an exciting course. Um, and yeah, I wish I had a 9-day gap in my calendar where I could attend the entire event. That would be amazing. Um, and yeah, I think that they will learn from you also.
Yeah, I hope so. But I will learn from everyone coming to the course as well. There's so much knowledge. I just had a look at the list of everyone that's signed up already, and just having all the participants here, like it will be such a wealth of knowledge for 9 days on this farm. So yeah, there's no place that I would rather be.
No, I'm sure you're not alone in that wish. No, so I really look forward to seeing you guys there and seeing the farm, and it's going to be really exciting. So thank you very much for your time, for telling us a little bit about your farm, and really congratulations on what you've managed to do in the last 4.5 years. All credits to you and your wife and other support in the background. I'm not quite sure what your father does, but I'm sure he does a lot, even if it's just moral support.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so brilliant stuff.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Andrew. And thank you for taking time to have a chat with me.
Okay, fine, Vik. Keep well. Thank you for listening to the Regen Ag SA podcast, where we get to meet our regenerators, the heroes who are regenerating our soils.